Welcome, everyone, to our Resilient, Wild, and Unstoppable interview series. And today we are speaking with Sheila. And it has been so much fun so far getting to know her and everything that she does, the magic she brings. And I really want you to get to know her. So, Sheila, I'm curious with the chakra and the energy work, what actually got you started on this journey and this passion path of chakras and energies and color?
Okay, good question. Okay, so for myself, I've always been interested in the metaphysical arts because my grandmother and my father, they both had talents in that area. My grandmother was a big holistic healer as far as using Mother Nature rather than, medicine kind of thing. And my father was really intuitive and he saw things. Let's put it to you that way. So when I was very young, I learned how to read cards and tea leaves and all that kind of stuff because that's what the family does. And then I kind of married into a conservative family and I put it all on the side.
Mhm.
And then, as time happens, I ended up marrying the wrong guy. I had a child that had physical challenges, ended up divorced, losing my house, working for people that didn't value me. So, the whole mess. And I realized when I was about late 30s, early 40s, that I was really bitter, really twisted. My view on life was so skewed and so awful. It was awful. And I realized one day that I had no friends. I had nobody to spend a Saturday afternoon with coffee. And I was looking at being alone the rest of my life just because I was so toxic, right? And I was so mean. I was mean. I was mean. And I just said to the universe, this can't be it. There has to be a way. I need to change. I want to grow old with somebody. I want to have a loving relationship with my kids. I want all these things. I want friends, for God's sake. I want friends. So I just sort of gave it all up to the universe. And as universe does, it puts things in your path that you can either accept or not. So I found myself in a development circle because I had put all that aside and I was rusty. So, it's something I always loved. So let's get into it. And then I met a lady there who was really into chakras and the core value of color.
Mhm.
And I found that really fascinating because I've heard about chakras before, but she was really into this color concept that we were all these seven colors. And I'm like, interesting. So she directed me to uh, a company here in Vancouver called the Color Energy Company. Take a couple of their classes, see if you liked it. And I found out I loved it. It was actually the answer for me that the reason why I was so bitter and so twisted and so ugly wasn't, well, it was a lot of things, but when I dug down to the core value of myself, to my solar plexus, which is where I was holding all this energy, it was actually so polluted that that's the energy that I was giving off from the inside out. I was giving out polluted energy. So I'm like, how do we fix this? Because I certainly don't want to lie on a counselor's couch for 20 years. So yeah, so once I started really listening and delving into it, I realized that Mother Nature, God source, has color coded food groups, spices, even the sun itself for our seven major centers of the body. And just by using her abundance, whether it was crystal work or eating the food or mantras or essences or incense or whatever, because they all have value,
Mhm.
that all of a sudden I was changing. I
Wow.
was becoming nice, right? I was becoming nice. Right? And it's really funny because I'm 58 now. And when people knew me in my late 30s, early 40s, they were like, what happened to you? Because you were just, I don't know who that person was, but it was just not fun. And here you are. And it's just like, wow, like you're huggable, nobody has to turn and run. So it's true. It's true. I was actually that toxic. So, and now I have a husband, I have a couple of stepkids, I have my own child and cats and a life and a business and things are really bright. Where they were really dark, now they're bright. And with learning about the chakras, they appeal to the scientific side of me because I'm a Virgo by birth. So
Yeah.
we like the science of life, right? We like how everything just kind of works together. So when I took the sciences and I took the metaphysics that I have always known my whole life and I put them together, I'm like, well, that was the answer from the very beginning, where the seven main colors or the seven main energy centers that are in our body. And once we know how to use them
Hmm.
correctly, then the world is not a dismal place. The world is actually quite vibrant. It there is a flow to everything. It it just works, right? When you find something that works,
Right.
it just is, right? And the chakras respond to everything from, like I said, from the food you eat to if you solarize your water, to the socks you wear, to the favorite color of your favorite couch where you take a nap. I mean, the body is so geared to absorbing color,
Mm.
to absorbing that particular frequency. You got two crystals in your hand. Everybody knows you can feel the difference between a yellow and a brown, right? You can feel the difference. So it again, the body is geared for that,
Yeah.
right? And we all, every one of us has these seven centers. It's just how you use them.
Hmm.
And, and my personal belief is that we're all born with one distinctive one that's our kind of go-to energy. Like mine's yellow, right? My go-to energy is yellow. But yellow can be a sunny yellow or it could be a bully yellow. So,
Oh.
so when you feel yourself kind of turning the tide going to, oh my God, I'm being a bully today. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Oh, I'm going to have a glass of lemonade, right? Let's bring it back. Or I'm going to put rosemary all over my chicken today. And because rosemary is a yellow spice. So, we kind of, once you know how to do it, it's really easy to dial yourself back once you realize that you have stepped over the edge. Right. Because every color has an optimal and over and underdeveloped. So, and there's a language to all that. There's something like 5,000 words that describe the chakras and what the potential is for each particular energy. So, like I said, my Virgo-ness loves it, loves it.
Yeah. I'm not a Virgo, and yet I love the science. So I don't know, maybe there's some weird Virgo-ness in my Scorpio.
Well, here's the thing. Scorpio and Virgo, their actual signs are the same, except for the tail. Right. So we have a lot of things in common through the stars anyway. So it makes sense, right? Virgos and Scorpios will always, go kind of hand in hand. It just, Scorpios can get a bit stingy once in a while. And Virgos can get very stuck in their way, right? So, yeah. So, and again, a lot of that goes back to yellow energy, right? The things that we have learned, the things of who we are, right? Because yellow, being the solar plexus, is about the self. It's about your mental, it's about your brain, your mental stuff, but it's also about yourself.
Yeah.
So any word that starts with self, we are talking about your yellow energy.
Interesting. You
Mhm.
mentioned early on about toxic color.
Yeah. So every one of us with all our energy centers, depending how we use them or how it's affected, or even if we're aware of it. Okay. So when I say something is toxic, we'll just talk because a lot of intuitives, they talk about the third eye a lot,
Hmm.
right? They talk about their indigo energy a lot. But here's the thing about indigo energy. When you're in this area, when you're in your brain area a lot, it's easy to get depressed.
Mm.
right? So that's when we're leading to the toxic side or the overdeveloped part of that energy because you feel depressed because nobody understands you. Well, when you're that high in your indigo and the rest of the world is playing with their yellow energy, of course you can't connect because you think that you have told them something and you didn't, right? And I use this because I have one person in my family who's a high indigo person, and they just assume that they sent me a text message and that I got it and that I read it. And I'm like, no. They're like, yeah, I sent it to you. It's like, the world is not telepathic yet. Okay. It's not telepathic yet. So please back off just a little bit. Or they're so in tune with, oh, I got a vision, or I'm using, I'm intuitive. Like, yeah, we all are, by the by, right? It's just what you're picking up might not be true because you only want to see what you want to see.
Got it.
Whereas if you had all the other colors kind of in sync with each other, you would know that if Archangel Michael came to you with a sword and said, cut all ties with your family, that might not be true.
Mm.
That might be something that you're just dealing with at the moment because the other energy centers would say, let's take a step back. Let's use a little bit of green. Let's use a little bit of compassion and empathy. What are we really looking at here?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, and like I said, every energy center has the ability to be under rotated or over extended, and then there's your optimal. And are we optimal all the time? No, because stuff happens, right? Stuff happens. You get a call from the bank, your payment for your mortgage didn't go through. Your first reaction is go, right?
Right.
But and then when you use a little bit of the other stuff and you calm down, you're just like, there was just a mistake. Just go in the bank, get it rectified. Use your throat energy, use your communication center in a nice way to get your point across, right? Or
Mhm.
something like that. Because again, life is just life, right? And when you actually realize that the energies within are what propel you forward, it's just like, okay, we're going to gear this back. We're going to put this up. I want to ask for a raise. So I'm going to not be emotional. I'm not going to use my orange energy. I'm going to use more of my yellow energy and list all my qualifications and be open with my communication with my blue center of why you need to give me a raise, right?
Yeah. And I think maybe we are telepathic because I think you're answering the question I was going to go into next. Um, Because I was just thinking, it's like, well, what are some good super tips for people who are not really at that level of understanding with chakras and colors and energy to at least get in tune with their inner self and,
Right.
you know, what to do or where to go, or even the colors of food associated with their energy.
It's very simple for me, or what I have found is when you actually look at what triggers you, what really triggers you, right?
Hmm.
What triggers me is people who are angry and come at me with anger. That triggers me, right? So I know that they're coming from a place of their root chakra, of their red. So I know that that is an incredibly forceful energy because it's just like in your face. So it's like, okay, if I'm gonna have somebody in my face, I'm gonna have to take a step back and go in my heart space, in my green space, because that's the place of peace and harmony,
Mm.
right? So I'm going to say, you know what? It's great that you're mad for whatever reason. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to go have a good salad. I'm going to have my green juicer go forward, and I'll get back to you later. And I'll get back to you later. And just sort of be in that green space, just sort of kind of figure out where is this person coming from? It's like, oh, okay, they were hurt by somebody. It wasn't me personally, but
Hmm.
they were hurt, and I was the next person in their face, so they came after me. It's not personal to me.
Right.
So, I drank my green smoothie. You can journal or write out, okay, and then you can go back to this person and just, especially if they live in your house, and just say, I understand your boss really ticked you off today. I really do. And I sympathize with you. And what can we do to make it better? But always remember this, coming at me at a place of anger is not good for either one of us. So you've spoken your truth. You
Hmm.
have done it in a compassionate, empathetic way. And then that brings that person's anger down. And then they can emote however they need to do. And then you can move past it,
Right.
right? And that's one of the nice things about understanding yourself on a color scale is it's like it's not me. It's not me. It's not me. So because my husband, he's a reactionary person. So if something happens, he reacts to it right away.
Hmm.
Right. So I have to go a lot into the green space. That's why I like to use it as an example to say, okay, you go sit in the living room for a while. Let me have some green tea. Let me think about it. Let me get to my place of serenity. Because if I come at you with the same kind of energy, it's just a big fight.
Right.
And there's no point because it takes two to fight.
Hmm.
It takes one person to take the high road to say, you know what? I'm going to go to the higher energies, or I'm going to go to a different place with my energy and just get to that place of peace. So you can be calm, I can be calm, and we could figure out a strategy to overcome,
Hmm.
right? And that's one nice thing about really understanding the value inside of us because it is a value, right? Those colors have great worth to them. Once we understand that, and can I just go through the chakras and what they do?
Absolutely.
Okay, so at the very base of our body, we have the root chakra, okay? And it's the color red. And it's the chakra that is our gas tank, it's our furnace, it's what gets our blood pumping, right? It's really us, right? And
Hmm.
then we move up a little bit. So our sacral chakra is right underneath the belly button. And that is the orange space. That's our emotional state place. And that is the place of our authenticity. That's our place of humor. That's our place where we can do our best crying and our best laughing and our best creating. That's what orange is all about. Orange is the place of joy. Then we move up to the middle of our body up here, and this is the solar plexus. It's like one of the biggest ones in our body, and it's yellow, right? So the solar plexus is about the self, not in an egomaniacal way, but it's about the self, and it's about our mental intelligence. It's about how we use our brain, how we use our life lessons to make and enhance our life better. Okay. And then we come up to the green space, which is the heart space, which is our kind of like neutral zone, if you will. And this is our place of peace and harmony. It's our place of choice.
Hmm.
That's the green space. And then we get to the blue space, which is our communication space, which is the throat chakra. But the throat chakra and the blue is also the place where we really start to get to that place of the higher realms, to our connection to something more. It comes from the blue space.
Oh, okay.
Now yeah, yeah, and yeah. So, and then here through our third eye, through the indigo space, that's our place of intuition, and that's our place of being a visionary. We can see ourselves 10 years down the road, being on stage, doing whatever, or we can see ourselves a captain of industry, whatever the case may be. We do it all through here.
Hmm.
And then up here is our crown chakra, and that is our place of connection. Yes, we connect to God, Spirit, and Source, and that's where a lot of people stop. However, it is also the connection to ourself. If this is running properly, you understand yourself 100%. You know exactly what you're capable of. You know exactly what you won't do, what you will do, all of that. And it's also your connection space to your fellow man, to pets, to animals, to plant life, to the stars, to everything. It's our
Wow.
connection space. Yes. So when we start understanding that that's what the different colors do, then
Hmm.
it's just like, okay, where can I go to sort of figure stuff out? And I was just going to go back to blue for a quick second. So if you are religious in any way, shape, or form, I'm just going to say to you the color blue, why it's associated with the higher realms is because the Mother Mary is always dressed in a blue robe.
Oh,
And she is the one that gave birth to Jesus. She is the gateway to him. She is our connection to the higher realms. And she is
wow. Okay.
dressed in blue. Yeah, because my husband is Roman Catholic. Okay. So I've had to really kind of look at my aesthetic, look at my, okay, the colors and how do they work? Because, you know, church people, they're not the warmest when it comes to stuff like this. So when I explain to them that the Mother Mary, she's always dressed in blue, and that is where we get to the higher realms. And then I said, when you look at Jesus, he's always got a red robe on. And yes, he is the bread of life. He is the I am, which is exactly the root chakra.
Got it. Okay.
Right? So, and there's references in the Bible to the rainbow, and that's a different story altogether.
That's a
But
different interview.
yeah, exactly. But when you actually think of it, and then when you really put pen to paper and thought processes down of, yeah, I can see how color really affects us and how we are all same but different
Hmm.
just by the energies that we use or the energies that are our go-tos, as I call them, our go-tos. Like I said, one person in my family is all indigo and I'm yellow. So do we have issues? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I understand it, right? They don't, but I
Yeah.
do. So it's easy when they're having their moment to say, you know what? I'm not going to engage. I'm not. I'm going to take a step back and I can go to any other color I want to. I can go down to my orange. I can go to my authentic self and just say, you know what? You can scream at me because you thought this, that, and the other, but I still love you. I'm just going to be authentic and say, you're being a cow. Go away. Right? You're being a cow. And and stuff like that. And I find that when you understand your color base or your like what's going on with you energetically. And then when you look at your partners or your children or even your pets, you can actually live a more harmonious life when you understand where they're coming from,
Right.
right? Because my husband is a blue energy. I'm a yellow. And in between, there's green. So if he comes down to green and I go up to green, we can actually live a peaceful, harmonious life.
That sounds like a perfect place to close out this interview with
Okay.
harmony.
Yep.
And this has been fabulous. I
I mean,
really
I'd love
enjoyed
to
this.
come on and talk more.
At some point, we probably will
Yes.
get you back on here and talk more because there is a lot to chakras and
Yeah.
colors and all of that that is just so powerful to learn and
Yeah.
understand.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's more in this brain. There's more.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Thank you for having me on. I had a really great time.